everyone, welcome back to Pommy and Oz. Hope we're all doing absolutely awesome at the moment. If you're new around here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're well on our way to hitting the next milestone. So if you can help me do that, please do that. We're back active on TikTok as well. So go and check that out. If you want to become a member, a few of you have recently. Can't thank you enough. We'll do, I reckon Sunday, we'll have a crack, a giveaway. We're going to give a little bit of a care package. So if you do want some merch yourself, get down onto the website. Link is in the description there. We've got some really comfy merchandise. And let's get into the preview. So Carlton versus the Eagles this weekend after two, let's be honest, abject performances. I think that's the right word. And we go up against the Eagles, who themselves 4 losses in a row, quite comfortable as well. Quite comfortable losses. They are facing 17th in the ladder, 1 and 5. And on paper, as cool as you like. As cool as you like. Carlton, on the other hand, 2 very poor losses as well. A nice 50-odd point loss and a 22-point loss to St Kilda, albeit they are top of the ladder, with 3 wins in there that probably weren't the most convincing, but they were wins nonetheless. And we're now going into this game with definitely an expectation as a football club that we are needing a win, but also what are we? I think is the question here. And this is a typical one of them games, I feel, on paper, that's the old polyfiller, isn't it? The old polyfiller football game where you win by 20, 30. It's a comfortable win, but it kind of papers over the cracks, and it's facing a real tough block of 4 weeks for the lads. And it's not where you want to be as a football club going into this. With the talk already, there's talk already that the fans, it's coming from the fans as well. Is Voss the right man? But with Lions, Dogs, Collingwood, Sydney, Melbourne, Essendon, Suns, before we have a week off, this is the last real game where Carlton are going to be $1.10, $1.20 favourites, and the last chance to cement it. And this game plan has been slow. Now, it's really interesting because we're one of 2 sides, really, that do, well, one of 3 sides, including Eagles, who were playing, who play slow. Now, you saw when the Eagles played Melbourne, when they played Fremantle, that slow side. The problem you've got in this type of game is if you keep them in for too long, in front of a home, vivacious crowd, which the Optus is, you've got to put them away. And you saw in the first quarter, particularly in that Freo game, it was quite easy for them. Quite easy for the Eagles. Inaccuracy in the second from the Eagles really gave them that 20-point lead. But it wasn't until the fourth, which you'd expect with a side that is fractured with injuries, that they got put away. And that was probably the best Fremantle have played in the fourth quarter. They actually were really quick, which we haven't seen from the boys, bar a quarter here and there against Geelong and North. And I can't believe we're at this stage where we're talking about, you've got me fucking saying danger game now. Jesus Christ. And it's not a danger game. It really isn't. This is the type of game that you come out and you exercise your game plan and you see the boys don't have faith in the game plan. Vossi does, Lloydie does. You can see this is not what these boys are about. And this is one of them games that, like I said with Adelaide, and Adelaide proved me right the next week when they dilly-dallied to Hawthorn's win. You keep them in, you give them hope, it's game over. Very quickly, it's game over. Because hope does a wonderful thing. Belief. And you're going in here, Eagles are expected to lose. They've got nothing to lose. Carlton have got everything. Mark my words, could be a riot at Icon if they lose this game. And the boys will know that. And that's the wonderful thing about our football club. As soon as negativity comes around, fear, pressure, whatever you want to call it, expectation, that they cower, they run away. And this is a game where you've got to go in there and say, we're Carlton. This is what we're about. And if anyone in the chat can tell me what we're about as a football club in a stylistic sense, you're better than me. But a very winnable game. A very winnable game, and a game that should be put away. Should put away. But there is some dangers. And like we've said, keep them in for long enough, they'll start to believe. And let's look. Harass Barras. This side here are going to be expected to be under the cosh. And that is something that very entertaining when you look at how their backline works and how their backline sets up. It's a very interesting little snippet, I think, that they're going to expect the backline to be hemorrhaged. And Barras, in my opinion, is one, if not one of the best back people in the competition. And a side that concedes 90 against from defensive transition, but it's only got a -2. These are more successful, just so you know, at defending defensive transition than Carlton are. Almost identical. Do you know what I mean? An average points a game of 14.7 in their D50 to Carlton's 14.2. And part of the reason, when you look at their forward line makeup, is this guy. This guy is an incredible player. One-on-one percentage, 73% he wins. 8 spoils, he gets it down to his lower guys. Hearns a test, which could really help them out in this avenue. 7 marks, 89% disposal efficiency, and just 0.1 away from being 2 score launches a game. And this guy here is the rock. He's rarely beaten. 73% is very good. That's green. Means he's in the top 20% of the league. And that is a real danger there. If Carlton bring that atrocious loopy ball in, not giving their forwards a chance, Tom Barras has dinner. He has dinner. He gets excited. He gets his knives and forks. He's got his little cute little napkin. He sat there just feasting on it. Waffling it up. Do you know what I mean? Waffling it up like your granddad. You know, the happy eater. He's frothing it. And that is one of the guys we've got to worry about, because you've got to make sure he's accountable and he's defending. Don't want to be giving them loose little nuggets of joy that he gets. The next guy is a guy that we haven't really talked about and probably doesn't get the respect he deserves. And that is Mr. Timmy Kelly, Tim Hans Zing. And he's definitely something that they're going to be looking for to get the ball out to. And he's had a good couple of weeks as old, Timmy K. He has, and let's have a look at him. This guy here, I want you to ignore the disposal efficiency, because they have players that run, gut runners, players that burst out of stoppages, players that look to enact from a stoppage situation, get the ball moving forward. And this is what this guy is. 13 contested possessions, 9 ground ball gets, 5 tackles, all in the very good category again, top 20%. Below average disposal efficiency, but the 22 pressure acts. And this guy here is about getting the ball forward, getting the ball moving. He quite often starts the chain and then gets it inside 50. And them disposal efficiency numbers genuinely are the way he plays. He plays for territory, he gets the ball forward and trying to get that pressure going in the forward half of the ground. And that is something that Carlton have got to be wary of, because them tackle numbers there, all their midfield is like that. If you dilly-dally and you piss about with the ball in the stoppage, these guys will get on top. And all Tim Kelly needs, really, is a wee bit of enthusiasm. And then we've got these young bucks here. And these two are really talented footballers. Oscar Allen coming back off a horrific injury. And he's really taken back to AFL like a duck to water, hasn't he? 2 contested marks, 1 mark on the lead, 5 shots a game, 7 score involvements. Just the 3 goals. 3 goals a game. He feasts on getting one out. And that's why, even though they're hemorrhaging goals against D50, that also it's because they get this guy one out and he works the line hard. And both the guys we're going to talk about, him and Waterman, they love that lead run away from each other. And we keep talking about that Carlton. Carlton players leading in the same pockets of space. These guys don't. They lead away. They feast on that 60, because we're going to talk about another guy that slots into the traditional full forward role in transition. And Oscar Allen here is someone that you've got to watch, because he's a confidence player. If he gets a little bit of time, he enjoys it. And the other guy here is Jake Waterman. 6 contested possessions and marks. He's more of that guy that can go in the pack, a little bit slighter, Attacks the ball incredibly hard. 1 mark on the lead. As you can see, this is his target. He's the target man. Where Allen's going to be a bit more higher up the ground, taking their marks. This guy here doesn't mind staying in the pack, getting dirty. Smalls are going to have to be front and centre, both at the back of the ground and the forward ground, because they have strong contested marks. 3 shots a game, 8 score involvements. This guy here often goes into that J-Sauce role as well, and he's the mark outside 60 in transition, and they plump someone else full forward. And the 2 goals a game. These guys here are guys, if they have a sniff, they're going to get up and about. And the guy we're talking about, the mystery man, Big Boy Bailey, and he's a big boisterous ruckman. And you look at his stats here, right? As a ruckman, still playing his trade. He's still holding himself in. Part of this as well, the hit-out win percentage and stuff, it's naivety from him. And he's not for the will of trying. However, look at the other numbers. 5 ground ball gets, 5 clearances, 1 intercept mark. This guy roams into them positions. And this is where we look at PeterNet and we complain about PeterNet not doing so much about the ground. There is a defined role where he goes and he becomes like the backstop. And he's a real irritating customer, real stifling, uses his body well. And someone that you shouldn't really take your eye off, because even though his numbers deceive you, what he does for their system, particularly in the front half of the ground, where he rests forward and he's really irritating, this is what he does really well. He gets forward and he takes 2 bodies. He's an attractor at them bodies. And it's really important that you watch him, because he's one of them players that people will look at the numbers and go, oh, he's pissed. Watch what he does around him. The Lebanese flair, Sardi, my boy, he returns this week. He should do. We're being presumptuous, right? I'm not a fan of taking him to Western Australia, to be honest, after a soft tissue injury. But someone's got to make some statements at this selection table, and this is why. Look at this guy. Hasn't been beaten yet one-on-one this season. 2 tackles a game, 2 score launches, 84% kicking efficiency, 9 intercept possessions. If we are going to be a slow style play, the back half of the ground must give it the leg speed it lacks with ball speed. And this guy here has both of them in abundance. An incredible, clever footballer, one. But what's more important is his ability to take the corridor on. Carlton are ranked 18th in corridor use in D50 this year. They are ranked 18th in corridor use, full stop. A staggering 1% last week. Let that sink in. This guy here is a big anomaly for that, because he takes that corridor on. And that's where Carlton can fabricate their lack of leg speed with the running. Because the way that this slow game plan works, when you've got like 18 players behind the ball, is when you transition the ball and you move it through the corridor, you have options. And Carlton's spread is like trying to spread frozen butter on toast at the moment. You're just tearing the bread, making a reet mess. And this guy here, he moves like smolten garlic butter. Nice wee bit of herb. It's what Sardi is. He's making that toast bob on. Up next, we've got the Wing Twins. That is quite hard to say in my accent because I'm lazy with the middle parts. But we've got Ollie Hollands and Blake Acres, and let's have a look at them. We talked about spread, the inability to spread. These guys here are your Dairy Lee Dunkers of spread. And this is what we're looking for. Both playing very profound roles in Carlton's system. One more defensive than the other, one more offensive. And one we're going to talk about isn't found enough by the boys, considering we absolutely camp on the wing like it's a shitty festival in Sorrento. So inside 50s 4, that's AFL average for wingers. Rebound 50s, though, elite. Kicking efficiency, very good for a man that kicks all the time. That's hella impressive. 7 marks. He works hard in defensive transition. We haven't seen it the last 2 weeks, though, because old Messrs Harry and his nibs just behind me to my left, they've been doing this job. 484 metres gained, though. That is elite. Elite for a winger. And this guy here is very integral to how Carlton are moving. And if Carlton are going to get out of the quagmire we call system at the moment, this guy is everything, because he needs to get free and he needs to get the ball moving forward, and he needs to be that hit-up target defensively and that hit-up target offensively. A very, very solid footballer and a guy that is incredibly important to beat in this side. because West Coast like to flood the middle. They're one of the more archaic sides that they still play a bit of man-on-man. Not many teams do that. Simpson's a man of tradition and a very kick game style, a very slow game style, a very, very, very man-up, responsible game style, which ain't going to work unless you've got the personnel, and he's having to build the personnel. He's been hemorrhaged with injuries. Blake Acres has got to exploit that. He's got to get the width and command his width and then look for that corridor for them centre runners, but also work hard as that backstop to allow Saad to overlap in front of him, which they do very well. Very Gary Neville and David Beckham of them, it has to be said. The next guy we're going to look at is Ollie Hollands. And his numbers don't excite you, but he's more of the offensive winger. And there's a couple of things that I want to talk about here. This guy is targeted by Carlton 1 time to every 3 times we go down Acres' wing. And if this guy is going to be the offensive threat to Carlton, which is the role he plays, he's a lot higher up the ground. He works incredibly hard defensively, but he is the guy that overlaps his half forward half the time, being Jesus. This is integral that he gets the ball a bit more. And Carlton look for him. 3 inside 50s, 2 rebound 50s. Really well balanced. A great start for a kid that's 6 games. Kicking efficiency, I don't care because of the last number, 361. And the 361 meters per game is really good. Less marks. You want this guy running. You don't want to be kicking to him. You want to be kicking out to him in space. But this is really important here, that this is the game you focus your attack through Ollie Hollands. Ollie Hollands is going to can change games. I have witnessed it countless times at junior level that if you find the ball and you get him out in space, this guy can damage you because this guy doesn't have a loopy kick in his arsenal. They're bullets. He likes that flat one. He hits. And if Voss goes back and watch juniors, he hits the ball out in front to his man with pace. There's none of this, oh, you've got crunched. It's push here. And that's what we want. We want to get this guy out in space. And a man that we're going to be looking to do that, we'll talk about in a bit. But this is one of the guys that will be looking at spreading it. The McGovern bro. The Mario to Jeremy's Luigi. And you know what? He was meh last week, but his form has been good this year. 80% one-on-one, that is elite. 3 spoils a game, 5 marks. Kicking efficiency, 82%, very good. And score launches too. We want him and Sardi dictating that backline. We want them ball, bang. Ball, bang. None of this ball. Fucking hell, what time does the bakery close? I hope Mum's doing gravy, not that Bisto shite. They're really important. That's McGovern is not meh, which we've seen when he hasn't played. That is incredibly important because him and Sardi, I tell you what, they've got a huge job of trying to pull these boys out of gear 2, get them somewhere in. I'll take gear 3 at the moment. And we're going to find out when Saad plays. Is it really, really Voss's game plan and he's caged them like wild elephants? Or is it just the personnel? And you're going to find out with these two because both of these two like to play on. And the guy we're going to finish with, who's integral from my point of view, Chera Season. This guy at the moment is really putting in and really putting a shift in. And the wonderful thing about Adam Chera this year is he's added defense to his game in abundance. He's looking keen. He's looking hungry. At times, he feels like he's the only one really looking to make the game go on. He's going to benefit now. Walsh is there because there's 2 of them, which means we're starting to outnumber the rest of the other midfielders that are a bit one-legged at times. Look at his numbers this year. 6 score involvements a game, 7 ground ball gets, hard man stats. And he's very good at it. 3 tackles a game, 76% kicking efficiency. This guy hits targets. And him and Walshy, Blake Acres and Hollands, we want overlapping these slow, cumbersome midfielders. We want these guys in space. We don't want him playing in that one-dimensional role, which Voss occasionally deploys him next to Hewitt. We want him being that guy out, starting in the centre bounces, outside of the arc, making that hard interject run that he likes to do. Them kind of reverse horseshoes that Walsh and Chera play, where one goes in front of the contest, one goes out the back. We want these two working in tandem because these guys are more offensive. And I think there's a great argument for Carlton to play a little bit more bold in the avenue that they actually start playing Walsh and Hewitt with Chera on the ball and getting Cripps a bit more free to use his body. And that would be really interesting because I think that is super important. But we finish with Pom's team. And Pom's team is... I put a lot of thought into this, I'm going to be honest, right? So there's quite a few outs. And now, if you watch the team show, I explained it. But I've got Jordan Boyd in, Wheater in, McGovern, Adam Sard in, Lewis Young, Nick Newman. Centre line is set and forget this year for me. Blakers, Cripps, and Holland. Half forward, I want to address this because Carlton's website and the AFL's website has Matt Kennedy listed as a defender. That's nothing we've done, but what his heat map and his GPS data says. Champs data 4 to 6 weeks, readjust these. And it's why you've got to be careful when you look at the grading of their stats versus the competition, because a defender now will be voted against versus other players with the same classification. That's how they do it. What that classification is what they're actually playing. So a great example is someone like Jack Lukosius a couple of years ago. He was drafted as a key forward. He went down back. His averages were below average, terrible. However, it's because it took them a while to adjust to him being a defender. And then this year, when he's played more forward, he was listed as a defender. So when he had 0.8 goals, that is elite for a key defender. Key forward, though, meh. So just be careful of that. So don't blame the club. I love blaming the club for a lot of things. That one we got to give him. But I've moved him to start half forward. Done a big change here. So what I'm looking for is a massive rotation. Top teams have 10, 12 players rotating through the midfield. Keep them fresh. We can do that. We can also rotate other positions. So Fisher and Jesus, come at me, ain't in there. Harry Mackay, Jack Carroll. Jack Carroll's been playing this role almost exclusively. High half forward. I'm looking for someone to enter 50 a little bit better, go shorter, be a bit more precise. Corey Durden, Charles Curnow, and Lockie Fogarty. Why Fogarty, Pom? Well, Matty always meant to be playing there. Lockie Fogarty plays that kind of fish role. 78% of the time forward, rest midfield. If he's not kicking goals, he's defending. And that's what always we're missing. Because no one's making tackles inside 50 at the moment. Bring him in. It's fucking Eagles. He's 24 years old. Like, reward the form. Because they're not doing it. Motlop's gone. Give someone that's got a very good engine that is hitting tackles. Help these boys out. You know what as well? He stays front and centre of Benny Crocker, who's built like a midfielder. He's going to love playing off the feed of these two. And Durden and Fogarty in this team have a do not leave the 50 policy. They are banned. Unless it's to gun Shadow, Curnow and Mackay going for a Waz. Pearnett, Chera and Walsh are my on-ball crew. And then my interchange, the Chincotta dog. George Hewitt survives. TDK comes in because there's no JSOS. And he's going to be rolling on that high half forward, having another target, making the spread happen and allowing Mackay or Curnow to stay in 50 at all times. And Paddy Wow is in this side. Time to reward the form. Give him the ball around stoppages. That's where he's damaged sides in VFL. He's very acute at that. A lot of goals inside 50 this year from that stoppage situation. And I know you hate it. I don't care. Jackson Binns is way too mature than to have a suck coming on 20 minutes. Binsey comes on. Give him the easiest job in the world. Coming on 20 ahead. Counting a 40 ahead. 20 minutes to go. Give him a quarter and say, go and have fun, kid. Because that's what all these 23 boys need. Fucking remember this game is fun. Remember it. My prediction, Carlton by 6 goals. And that is par. That is par for me. My prediction. And please, give me something, gentlemen. But, like I say, paper and reality, and when you've got a fragile state of mind, they need us. So cheer hard in West Coast, ladies and gentlemen. If not, join me on the watch along. Good luck, Blues. Good luck, Blues baggers. Till next time.
are rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella